Okay, you've probably heard this a million times, right? If you really want to kick your metabolism into high gear and lose weight, you've got to stop eating 3 big meals and switch to 6 small ones. It's one of those bits of advice that's been around for so long it just feels true.
But is it actually? Is this whole grazing thing really the secret sauce? Or is it just one of those health myths that refuses to die? Well, let's dive in and see what the science really has to say about it.
And, the logic behind it sounds really solid. The main idea is all about keeping your blood sugar stable. See, when your blood sugar drops, that's when you get those intense cravings and feel ravenous. So by eating little meals all day, you're supposed to keep your energy level, your hunger hormones, everything nice and even. It keeps you from getting so hungry you end up binging. It sounds like a perfect plan.
It all makes perfect sense on paper, doesn't it? But when we put this idea under the scientific microscope, well, the story starts to change a little bit. So what happens when we actually test this in a lab?
So, check this out. In a controlled study, researchers gave people the exact same number of calories for the day. One group got them in 3 meals, the other group in 6. And the results? No difference in fat burning, no difference in their metabolism, their energy expenditure, no advantage at all. But here's the real shocker. The group eating 6 small meals actually said they felt hungrier and had a stronger desire to eat.
And this quote right here, this is pulled directly from the study's conclusion. So instead of helping you control your appetite, eating more often might actually just be poking the bear, constantly triggering those hunger signals without ever giving you that feeling of being truly full and satisfied.
And this wasn't just a one-off thing either. More research has confirmed that when it comes to actually managing your weight, the single most important factor isn't when you eat, it's the total number of calories you take in throughout the entire day. A calorie deficit is what drives weight loss, whether you get there with 3 meals or 6. Okay, so this leads to a pretty big question, right? If it doesn't really boost your metabolism and it could even make you feel more hungry, then why is this advice so incredibly popular? Why do we hear it everywhere?
Well, the answer really comes down to one crucial word: context. The 6-meal-a-day plan was never meant to be a universal rule for everybody. It's actually a therapeutic tool, a really important one, for specific medical needs. Let's look at a perfect example, a condition called gastroparesis. Basically, this means the stomach empties food much, much slower than it's supposed to. So you can imagine, for someone dealing with this, eating a big, normal-sized meal can feel awful. It leads to feeling uncomfortably full, bloated, and just plain sick. For these patients, eating 6 small, frequent meals isn't a diet hack. It's a cornerstone of their medical treatment. Health authorities actually recommend it because smaller meals put way less of a load on the stomach. They move through the system more easily, and that makes a world of difference in managing their symptoms.
And it's not just for gastroparesis. This eating style is a game changer for other people too. Folks who get those really dramatic blood sugar crashes, or people with PCOS who are managing insulin resistance. It's also used as a behavioral strategy for those with binge eating disorder to help head off that extreme hunger that can trigger a binge. And of course, athletes use it all the time to fuel their bodies.
So, we've settled that. It's not a weight loss trick. It's a valuable medical tool. But the story doesn't stop there. For the average person who decides to adopt this grazing lifestyle, there's a pretty big downside that almost never gets mentioned.
Think about this for a second. Every single time you eat or even sip on a drink that's acidic, the pH level inside your mouth takes a nosedive. This instantly creates an acidic environment that's, well, it's really bad news for your teeth. Here's the magic number you need to remember: a pH of 5.5. When the acid in your mouth drops below that critical point, your tooth enamel, that hard protective outer layer of your teeth, literally starts to dissolve. It's a process called demineralization.
So let's just compare these two scenarios. When you eat 3 meals a day, your mouth gets these nice long breaks in between. That gives your saliva, which is your body's natural defense, time to neutralize the acid and put those minerals back into your enamel. But if you're eating 6 or more times a day, your mouth is pretty much under a constant acid attack. It never has enough time to recover and repair, leaving your teeth vulnerable. All right, let's wrap this all up. What's the final verdict on the 6-meal-a-day plan? Well, for general weight loss, there's no real metabolic benefit, and it might even make you hungrier. As a medical tool, it's absolutely critical for certain conditions. And for your dental health, it's a real risk because of that constant acid exposure.
So I think the big takeaway from all this is that for most of us, the what
and the how much you're eating are way more important than the when. There just isn't a single magic eating schedule that works for everyone.
Which leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When it comes to your own body and your own health goals, which deserves more of your focus? The clock on the wall or the food on your plate?